Hey everybody, this is Amazing Fantasy Football. I am Josh, wearing my glasses for some reason, and over there is the Daphne and Velma to my Freddy. It is.
Christopher.
I was actually going with something else and I forgot what it was, so I went back to Scooby Doo again because
We mentioned that like 2 or 3 shows ago.
we've mentioned it more than
really?
twice.
Oh,
Yes.
Now I feel dumb. Let's move
I
on.
know. I've watched a lot of Scooby Doo in my life. A lot. Pup named Scooby Doo, you can go suck an egg. We are Amazing Fantasy Football. Chris, what you doing? How you doing tonight? What you doing tonight?
I'm doing
You're doing the
amazing.
stream.
Pardon the pun, but everything's great, man. Life is good. Looking forward to getting even more into the groove of our regular season form, of our format. And talk about some players that we like and some lineup decisions, if you will. How about you? How are you doing?
Doing all right. It's a pretty good day at work, Could pretty good day. My neighbor still has not reimbursed me for my vet bill since her dog attacked my dog. So my neighbor can go, you know what?
Fly a kite?
Exactly. Chris, I believe you have some news for us.
Aye, that I do. All right, let's just get right into it. I'm going to kind of read these out of order, but in order, it kind of makes sense to me. But anyway, Dak Prescott is looking at a possible return for either October 30th game versus the Bears or November 13th game versus the Packers. He hurt his finger on another player's hand, I believe it was. Jerry Jones said on 105.3 The Fan, the Cowboys won't put Dak Prescott on injured reserve and that he thinks his injured quarterback could return within the next 4 games. I wouldn't blame one for being skeptical upon that. If you want to pause there and talk about the ramifications.
You got it.
And I would invite you to do so, sir.
If you have a dynasty squad full of Cowboys teams, destroy it all right now and play for next year.
That you're gonna cut straight to the throat.
No. What? Seriously though.
No, I'm honest. I honestly want to know your opinion on that. If that is in fact your opinion, which I believe it is.
For realsy, like in redraft, drop Dak right now if you don't have an IR spot in your league. Zeke and Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard don't even like. You should drop him as well. I dropped Michael Gallup. He was on my IR spot, kind of sitting there lurking. Yeah, what's the point of having him? He's not playing right now, and when he comes back, it was probably going to be Cooper Rush. I don't think they're going to make a trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. It doesn't sound like a season-long thing, and why give up the draft picks for half a season rental? CeeDee Lamb, don't start him this week. The Cowboys are playing. I'm sorry, I'm spacing it off the top of my head.
It's okay. Finish up with CD, then go on to Schultz.
I'm CD and Schultz, same thing, same boat.
No. Okay, let me put your feet to the fire a little bit. Clearly, Zeke is a hold. I mean, what else can you do at this point, right? His ownership percentage is 99%, I assume.
Sorry. Don't start Zeke this week. And
okay, yeah, and then let's.
Honestly, I'm dropping Tony Pollard because what's the point?
And I was going to get to that. I was going to get to that next. I was like, he's probably in that realm of droppable. CD is just a hold because what the heck else you going to do right now? Gallup, droppable.
But don't start CD this week, and don't start Dalton Schultz either.
And I think I have an asking for a friend later. We can postpone that.
Let's move along with the news.
You touched on Schultz real quick. No, I wanted to say one thing real quick. Is that between Schultz, CD, and let's say Zeke, clearly, I think one can still, and I lean Schultz. Maybe somebody would lean CD because, receiver, but he hasn't shown me a lot lately. I would lean Schultz as still probably the very, very playable dude. And sure, you can say that's because of lack of tight ends, but that's my 2 cents.
Like I said, hold but don't start for now. Let's circle back around to your dynasty squad. Yes.
Yeah, I would at
the end.
Schultz
let's do it at the end. Let's
to be started still.
Let's do that at time. Okay.
We've got 49ers here officially placed Elijah Mitchell, running back, on the injured reserve list. A bit from before was that he is expected to be sidelined about 2 months with a sprained MCL. that he
Yep.
suffered Sunday. That was prior to the previous update I gave you. Let's stick with the Niners for a couple more updates here. They are signing former Texans running back Marlon Mack to their practice squad.
Really?
Obviously,
Okay.
there's
Didn't
been a
know
little
that.
bit of talk about how maybe quickly. May I remind folks that Kyrian Davis Price, I believe is his name, was a healthy scratch week 1 with a lot of other like practice squad guys and running backs yeah. So keep an eye out for that. Let's stay with the 49ers for another update. Kittle, the tight end, groin injury was not spotted at practice on Thursday. So
Man,
he also didn't play week 1. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm nervous that he's going to play week 2.
I think we were both nervous in the offseason. You and I'm not going to lump everybody into that. Harkening back to my dynasty trade of Godwin and Kittle.
Right.
For CD. That's great now. But anyway, let's stay with tight ends for another moment here. Ertz did practice in full Thursday. That was a kind of surprising update, I'll be honest. I actually have a little bit of reference to that later on in notes. That might not mean much now. Ravens running back J.K. Dobbins, a knee injury, was a full participant in practice for the second consecutive day. Good sign for his prospects of returning to game action versus the Dolphins for the first time since the 2020 season.
They're playing the Dolphins. Yep, they're playing the Dolphins this week. So
Bucks. Hey, we need running backs, man. Everybody needs a running back. It's only week 2.
I have J.K. Dobbins like 3
I know.
week,
I was
so,
looking at. I was like, you just lost Mitchell. You need him bad. Let's continue on. Speaking of that trade earlier, wide receiver Chris Godwin suffered a hamstring strain Sunday night and likely will miss some time per source. There's optimism it's not major, but Godwin could be sidelined a few weeks.
Yep.
I don't have much speculation about Julio at this time, but maybe you do later on in the show.
On the injury report right now, but I don't know what that means.
Let's stay with wide receivers a little bit here. Our favorite Tiggins, a.k.a. T. Higgins. Concussion, personal are the two things that we're talking about here. Was not at practice Thursday due to personal reasons, but allegedly was able to clear the hurdles up to that point. By hurdles, I'm not cracking a joke at whatever. He was able to clear concussion protocol. He didn't officially clear, but the reason he was listed as out had nothing to do with concussion, allegedly. But it's something to keep an eye on for a big producer there against a team that's kind of reeling in the Dallas Cowboys. May I remind you that's who they're playing this week.
Yep.
On to another receiver that has been ruled out that's actually would be playing right now. Just a reminder for folks, Keenan Allen was ruled out for a hamstring tonight's Thursday night game versus the Chiefs. On to Michael Pittman, a quad, officially did not practice on Thursday. No practice today for Bucs wide receiver Mike Evans or Saints running back Alvin Kamara. I think they
Or
play
Julio
the same
Jones.
game. Or Julio in the same game. Thank you. No practice also. Thank you for that update. I don't have anything on Julio. Lions
Practice
running back
today,
DeAndre Swift did not did not practice for the second straight day, but he told reporter that his ankle injury is nothing to worry about. They are being really careful with Swift. He probably plays, but man, just that guy scares me. Easy for me to say with hindsight. Everything okay?
I think I'm hearing your AC, but that's okay. Keep going.
That would be surprising. Where are we? A couple of defensive updates. Jamal Adams was put on having season-ending surgery. He's torn quad, put on IR. Steelers, TJ Watt, injured reserve. Saints quarterback Jameis Winston was limited today with a back injury, which is why he went into the injury tent during the game on Sunday. But I don't know. All indications are he's going to be fine. Mac Jones, there was a little bit of worry there for a minute, but he was a full participant in practice today despite a back injury. That's a good sign. Joe Flacco will start again for the Jets, and Alec Pierce for the Colts developed concussion symptoms, so he's in the concussion protocol.
I'm wondering if he's developing concussion symptoms post-game, if he's going to play this week.
Yeah, I thought he was, whatever, I guess important enough to include, but...
Yeah, no. I'm saying that. And Mac Jones... That's a stinky sandwich of eggs right there.
Well, and we don't talk about defenses much, but I picked up Steelers defense. They're a big pickup this week because it's versus the Patriots at Steelers, I think. And just
They
even
also
with or
scored
even with or
they also
without
s-
Mac Jones, it didn't look very good.
They also scored so many points last week too. It was like 26 points. It was ridiculous. Anyways, that's been the news. Let's go on to Let's start with the running backs. I have some running backs that I like this week. One such running back would be Michael Carter. Michael Carter, he scored 13 and a half half PPR points last week.
13 and a half of them.
Yep. He outscored, out-touched, but received one less target than Brees Hall. He gets the Browns this week. While that's not the greatest matchup, neither was the Ravens on paper. And 13 and a half wide receiver points. Just a quick side note: these are just 5 guys that we really like. Obviously, you're starting your Jonathan Taylors, your CMCs, your Derrick Henrys, blah blah blah. There's going to be a low hanging fruit here and there on this list, but
sure.
I'm like these aren't our top 5 people by any means. Just a friendly reminder. Anyways, Joe Flacco didn't play the greatest last week in week 1, but here's the thing. Michael Carter and Brees Hall combined for 19 targets last
I was just
week.
going to say...
Call me crazy, but
Yeah.
I like Carter again this week. Joe Flacco is going to be the starter this week. Now, whether he makes it through the entire game, I don't know. It would seem rather irrelevant to start Mike White, or to make the switch.
Give me the garbage time dump offs to Carter and Hall.
Sure. What's the first wide receiver that you like this week?
My first wide receiver will be DJ Chark. He was the wide receiver 23 last week with 13.2 points in a half-point PPR. He played an 81% snap share last week and scored a touchdown, if that wasn't kind of obvious. Caught 4 of his 8 targets. Just for some context, St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown had 88% snap share, and the third guy, Reynolds, I think it's Josh Reynolds, is there, had an 80%. So clearly a 3 wide receiver team type of thing that you've got going on there. Washington, who the Lions are playing this week, Washington gave up 6 out of 12 targets for 117 yards for Christian Kirk last week. No touchdowns, but he might even been a wide receiver 1 if I'm not mistaken, but he was definitely borderline there. Maybe a wide receiver 2. I like a high scoring game here. They've got 48.5 point over under. I think they've even got that a little shy. I think it's just some bad defenses that are going to kind of slug it out here for a whole minute. I think Chark is in most every game, unless just can't get open type of situation, he's going to get his occasional 2 or 3 deep shots a game because he can win in that fashion. I like him for some upside. He's tall and fast, and hey, me and you sang his praises in the off season about, hey, you can gab this guy for free. Check your waiver wire,
Yeah, check it right now because he's still available in like a league or 2 of mine.
Oh, I've got a couple guys. Most of them. Well, okay, not most. Yeah, most 3 out of 5, I'd say, are guys you might even be able to still find out there.
Yep. All right, my next guy is James Conner. A little low hanging fruit here, but he didn't have the greatest week last week. But the Cards they had a rough day against the Chiefs. They got down pretty quick, and therefore they kind of sort of had to abandon the run game. And Conner still did manage 14 fantasy points, got a touchdown in there. But they get the Raiders this week, the abysmal Raiders. That team looked bad last week. So the Cards have a more balanced attack going forward with James Conner getting going early and often. So I like James Conner this week, man.
Well played. Let's go on to some other receivers that might be available out there that scored. Jahan Dotson, receiver, Washington Commanders. They play the Lions. The Lions gave up 10 catches, 155 yards to A.J. Brown, including a big 55-yard play last week. PFF had Mike Hughes for the Lions. Mike Hughes as their highest-ranked cornerback, 30th overall. Their highest was ranked 30th, so their second and their slot guy are clearly ranked lower. Jahan brought in 2 touchdowns in his debut versus a similarly bad Jags defense last week while playing 88% of snaps. For context, I believe McLaren was like 91% or something like that. So he's the second guy. For more context, Curtis Samuel played 71% of snaps, but Samuel did have 11 targets and a touchdown of his own. Washington threw 41 times last week, the 7th most, one away from being tied for 4th most. Again, for more context there. I love him, man. I'm kind of torn about doing a this or that about dropping Pickens, the other rookie receiver for Pittsburgh, for Dotson, and trying to catch on to this, whatever the heck call it. It's hot, whatever. He's a hot streak. He's on fire. Plus, it's a great matchup. It's a great matchup versus the Lions, clearly.
Yeah. Next
Who
up,
you got next?
Darrell Henderson Jr. Let's start with the fact that he only scored 9.8 half PPR points last week against the Bills, who last year was just average against the run, but he gets the Atlanta Falcons this week, who gave up the 10th most fantasy points to the running back position per game. That was also last year. Worried about Cam Akers splitting time with Darrell Henderson or vice versa? Don't worry. Darrell Henderson had the second highest team snap percentage for all running backs in week 1. Who was number 1? My man Saquon. I did that just for the rhyme.
He's my favorite on your list. Just to put that.
The entire Rams offense should be a little bit more functional this week, with which includes Darrell Henderson, of course. One last note: speaking of the Rams offense, don't quit on Allen Robinson. There were times when he was open last Thursday. Stafford just had his eyes exclusively for Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee, but more on that in a minute. Spoiler alert. Next.
Next. I've got Greg Dortch. No, I did that wrong on purpose. Greg Dortch, I think is how you say it.
We're scraping the bottom of the barrel this week.
Hey, man, let's go. Slash Rondale. Let me continue. This is kind of predicated on I don't think Rondale is going to play again. He did not practice Wednesday or Thursday. Greg Dortch had caught 7 of his 9 targets for 63 yards, which led the team. He was clearly involved. I think he was the clear substitution, the clear spell for the Rondale role, if you will. Of course, Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins is still suspended, and also more relevantly, Ertz is still probably on a pitch count. He only played a 60% snap share last week, so Dortch could continue to see his productive role versus a Raiders D that is very good. Pretty bad. Uh-oh. I might have to continue on with my next guy in lieu of, I think we just lost Josh. FYI, if you can hear me, buddy. Am I still live? Let's check. Did I ever... Pardon me for the interlude, folks. There we go. No. Control room. Okay, sorry, folks. Okay. I'm just making sure I'm live and I didn't drop internet completely. Yeah, well, music is local, not internet. Okay, cool. I'm going to continue on with my next guy, Greg Dortch, who we're leaving off with there. Again, predicated on Rondale being out. I assume karma had something to do with Discord hanging up on Josh there and poo-pooing my guy. He's back.
I'm right here. I've been here the entire time.
Not on my end, sir.
I'm sorry, your Discord sucks.
It's mine for sure. So, in that regard, it's time for your next guy if you're ready to rock.
Okay. My next guy would be Joe Mixon. Low-hanging fruit alert. I know Mixon had a solid to great week 1, and it seems a little too obvious, but I just wanted to focus.
A lot of targets.
I just wanted to focus on the fact that last year Dallas allowed the 4th fewest points per game to running backs, and gave up almost 15 points to a supposedly fat Leonard Fournette last week. If you put on top of the fact that they're going to be with the Cowboys, they're going to be without Dak, as we discussed earlier. I don't want to go too far down the narrative road here, but Cooper Rush at the helm, Dallas Cowboys, Cincinnati could be playing with a big lead early.
Oh yeah.
Mixon runs the ball a little bit more than normal, all that, and Mixon is just Mixon is just a darn good back. Starting with confidence this week, Chris.
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
pretty. I'm sorry about your Cowboys, buddy.
Oh, it's. Thank you. I appreciate that. It means something, but it's bleak. To hit on Mixon there real quick. Would you call him top 3, top 5 RB this week for yourself?
Off the top of my head, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think so clearly. Going back to that Dallas being 4th best last year. That's last year. Secondarily, I just think they're a team in turmoil right now, even though it's only week 2. To kind of go along with that, I'm going to give you my 4th guy, as it were, Tyler Boyd. I'm worried about Tiggins, one of our personal favorites, playing. Just a stud of a wide receiver 2 here. I've got some more to say about this matchup later on for another teaser. But to remind folks, T. Higgins is in the concussion protocol, missed practice Thursday for personal reasons. I'm just a little concerned. They might even feel they don't need him to beat up on Dallas, to Josh's point. Boyd was 4 of 7 for 33 yards last week and got a touchdown of his own. Dallas has started the season 11th worst, so again, only 1 week, small sample size, but 11th worst in fantasy points given up to the wide receiver position. Part of that was a huge part of that was Mike Evans catching 5 of his 7 targets for 71 yards and 1 touchdown last week. Even Julio, who might be more comparable as far as a slot kind of guy goes, like Boyd, plays a lot of slot, etc. Even Julio got some decent work catching 3 of his 5 targets for 69 yards. I remember specifically kind of a over-the-shoulder basket catch, and even got a couple rushing attempts in there. So yeah, Tyler Boyd. Obviously pay attention if T. Higgins is going to play, but I'm thinking they're going to go ahead and go with their veteran depth there.
I have a counter argument for that later on. Anyways.
Gotcha.
My last guy is Melvin Gordon. He gets the Texans, who gave up 22.2 points per game to opposing backs. Last week, they gave up 32.9 points to Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines. I know it's not going to be like an every week sort of thing, but last week, Javonte and Melvin Gordon split their snaps percentages 57 to 39%. That's 57 Javonte, 39 Melvin Gordon. And then there is some CJ or KJ Hamler, or CJ Ham was the other guy that was in there too. Mike Boone was the other guy in there. Sorry. But Javonte got 18 touches to Melvin Gordon's 14. This is a timeshare, folks, like everyone really thought. And I know it's probably not going to be a 60-40 split every week. Some weeks it could be 70 Javonte, 30 Melvin Gordon. But with the Texans, who gave up a lot of points to JT and Nyheim Hines last week, man, I don't see how you can not. You gotta really consider Melvin Gordon your flex position, because you know what 40% of 33 points is? That's 13.2 points right there. That ain't bad for your wide receiver or your RB2 / RB3 / flex position, especially in your bigger leagues. So, yeah, Melvin Gordon this week. I mean, I liked what I saw of Javonte last week, and I honestly, I kind of liked what I saw out of Melvin Gordon too. Like, there was a couple years ago when Melvin Gordon looked kind of cooked, and last year he looked better. He looked a little more spry. He does this year too. Like, for a guy, for a running back who I think is 30 now, he's looking pretty. 30 or going to be 30 soon. He's
a couple things I would say about the whole Javonte Melvin Gordon thing. Like you said, some might be 70-30. Javonte might swing back the other way. I don't think anybody's worried about it being a 70-30 in Gordon's favor, to be clear.
No. That was 70-30 in Javonte's favor.
And then I heard a tidbit today. There were only 2 backs who received double-digit targets, aka 10+ targets. One of them.
Do you know who they are?
Yeah, Javonte and Breece Hall. Yeah, so obviously two similar guys in terms of being in a running back situation that's still very much cloudy. To your point about Gordon is absolutely worth a flex, but those targets, man. Although Carter had 9, that's the crazy thing. Yeah. I just wanted to touch on that real quick. I think that's very interesting for these guys that we're hoping to produce. My last guy, that's the wrong button.
Wait. Since we're doing pretty good on time here, just real quick.
Just
pause
button anyway. Go ahead.
Do you feel like at this point, I mean, we're only
Ooh,
one
I almost
weekend.
knocked that over.
We're only one weekend. Do you feel like Javonte Williams was still worth a second round pick, or do you have maybe a little buyer's remorse
No.
that maybe he should have been a third or later?
No, I think it's only going to get worse for Gordon. I don't think you're making a bad call to start him this week. Heck, it might be the same story 2 weeks from now. It might be the same story 6 weeks from now. I would doubt it if you're talking about 6 weeks from now. But no, I think Javonte, barring obviously we're always talking about barring injury. That has to be mentioned because lots of touches. He's getting lots of work.
I think we can go with that being said, with anything that we say barring injury for the eternity of this show. I don't call players who get injured a bust. I'm not calling Dak a bust because he got injured.
Right, of course.
Sorry, injuries happen. You cannot foresee them.
No, I'm definitely still a team Javonte.
I'm sorry. I'm rolling my eyes at like all these other places where they're like, well, this person was a bust this year because they got injured. I'm like, that doesn't make him a bust. It just makes him an injured player.
Fantasy, NFL draft, just in general player evaluation, Hall of Fame talk, all that stuff, man. People, you have to give guys generally the benefit of the doubt when it comes to injury. Really, you do.
Anyways, Chris, I believe you have one more guy.
I got one more guy at the wide receiver position.
And then
Tyler
we're going to go down a
Boyd.
tight end rabbit hole. That's slightly dirty.
To never return. No, did I already do? Gosh, I'm so lost right now. Oh yeah, I already did Boyd out of order because I wanted to get him on the cusp of Mixon. Darnell Mooney is my final guy. Yeah, talk about a stinker of a week 1. Well, may I remind you folks, they played in an absolute monsoon of a football game just down the street from it. Not down the street, it's like an hour away, but just really close to where I live. And he played horribly. But again, I think he gets a pass for that. His quarterback has one of the best deep balls in the league, and I think most people would agree that Mooney is one of the better deep ball receivers in the league. Fields did manage 2 touchdowns last week, showed a little bit of moxie, but really it has to do with why I don't have it here written. Oh, Packers. Yes, Packers. The people that they will be playing gave up the fourth, only one week, but they gave up the 4th most fantasy points to the wide receiver position last week. To Minnesota,
arguably the best wide receiver.
I was going to say, to the Minnesota. May I remind folks to the Vikings who happen to have Justin Jefferson on their roster, which of course Mooney is not Jefferson, but Jefferson did have 9 catches for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. I believe some of the variety of which were down the field big plays. Mooney is a big play receiver, and Fields does throw a pretty deep ball, so I like him as a scraping bottom of the barrel. Keep an eye on your waiver wire for a frustrated Darnell Mooney manager who dropped him free and clear. Maybe you take a gamble. Maybe you've got a spot to spare. I'm not saying run out and start him at your wide receiver 1. I'm just saying I'm expecting a bounce back from Mr. Mooney here in this matchup versus the Packers.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you, Chris. I watched that game last week, or most of it, and it made me want to throw up. The Bears looked awful. They looked so bad.
And you don't think playing in
it wasn't necessary. No, it was their offensive. It was their offensive line looked atrocious. Justin Fields was running for his life the entire time. Can he do that and make a positive play with Darnell Mooney? Sure, but it looked worse than I thought it could be, man. Maybe it was the rain. They looked atrocious. Please prove me wrong, Bears. Please do so. But it was.
They won.
It was a stink fest. Yeah, that's a tribute to the 49ers defense, I think. It looked really, really bad. It looked really bad. You drafted Darnell Mooney pretty high. I mean, I don't think you should ever be a slave to where you draft top 5 rounds, probably. About where his ADP was.
Like I said, you could find an owner that dropped him. A manager. You could find a manager that you happen to pay a 5th or 6th or whatever you're talking about there, and you're just wanting to sit him. But you've also lost somebody like a Higgins or somebody. You might have to throw him. You might have to throw him in.
Yeah. So. Okay.
They can't all be zingers, Josh.
Oh no. I think to be clear, I think he's going to have a better stat line than last week.
Well, there's only one way to go. To be clear, folks, I am not touting him.
It can go down. He didn't score 0 points.
I'm not talking about getting 3.5 points. I'm talking about a better game than that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That really.
You really don't like that one. Well, I hope he does really well because
no, and it's nothing against you. It's nothing against you. I just, dude, that Bears offense looked so bad. That offensive line was awful. Like damn it, I almost called him Justin Jefferson again. Justin Fields is going to get killed this year. I feel sorry for the dude. I really do. I wanted him to be.
And I was on Team Bears, worst team in the league this season. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, singing his Justin Fields praises on high. I didn't include him in my quarterback streaming thing, although he looked pretty darn good on the ground. That's to be mentioned, worthy mentioning. But no, it's about Mooney. It's about wide receivers for me this week, and I think he's got a decent shot at having a big game.
I feel like the Bears front office was like, well, we got a quarterback that can run, so why do we need an offensive line? Screw it. Well, let's not worry about that. Let's not worry about anything and just blow our team up for no reason. We just sunk a bunch of draft picks into getting this quarterback. Let's not protect him. Let's just get him murdered. It's so dumb. I'm sorry. I hate the Bears. I hate
a Bears fan.
To be clear,
his Twitter handle is at Josh
AFF.
I got it.
I don't hate the Bears players or their fans. I hate their front office. They perpetually never know what they're doing. Anyways, let's talk about tight ends, man. I'm sorry. I need to cleanse my soul of this hatred for ineptitude.
So let's go to tight ends. What a great strategy, Josh. I can't wait to hear your first guy.
My first guy is.
I hope it's my first guy is dive ever.
It's not at all. But he's available in a lot of leagues, man. Tyler Conklin. If you say you drafted David Njoku, or maybe you just want to pivot, because that didn't work out last week. Jesus, Josh, what were you thinking?
Never mind, folks. I called him a blocking tight end.
I was gonna say, it's almost like Chris was right on that one. Anyways. Maybe you're scared about how the Bears offense looked, like I just said, and you're really scared about Cole Kmet. Regardless, you're ready for a new name? How about Tyler Conklin here? He was in on 91.7 of the Jets' offensive snaps, fourth most out of all tight ends last week. He was targeted 7 times, scored a touchdown. If you remember, Tyler Conklin was kind of an up-and-comer for the Vikings a couple of years ago. I believe his rookie deal was up, and so the Vikings said, "Oh well, we'll just go stick with a cheaper Irv Smith." Tyler Conklin, man, that kind of snap percentage, like that, deserves some respect. 7 targets too, man. I'm not saying he's going to score a tight end this week, but it's definitely a name to think of, and I think that's a pretty solid one. How do you feel about Tyler Conklin, Chris?
I got a couple of other guys I like better, but
whatever.
He's as worthy as they come, I suppose, is the way I'll put it. It's already as bleak as we kind of thought it was. I don't know. It always seems bleak at tight end. Speaking of which, speaking of
bleak tight ends.
Speaking of bleakness, no. I think this one's. Hey, I'm going back to the well with the Bengals Cowboys matchup here with Hayden Hurst. He caught 5 of his 8 targets last week. Got to point that out. That's usage. That's good. 5 of his 8 targets for 46 yards last week versus the Steelers. Granted, Dallas was very good versus the tight end in week 1. Cade Otton and Cameron Brate for the Buccaneers did nothing. But I come back to the potential.
No one.
But I come back to, I think Josh even touched on it earlier. I come back to the general just absence. Come back to the absence of T. Higgins and a Dallas team reeling. Like, regardless of them being good against the run last year, regardless of them being good against tight ends in week 1, they're in trouble, folks. Usually bad defense begets bad offense. Bad offense begets bad defense. We'll see how long Dallas defense can hang in there. But yeah, no. Hayden Hurst, I think, again, Higgins is probably not going to play. This is predicated upon that. I guess I can't have my cake and eat it too and go Hayden Hurst and Boyd. But, hey, man, people are already a little bit desperate at their flex position. I think both those guys are worthy of mentioning.
Okay. You son of a bitch.
I took your guy.
No, you took my conditional one. I said a conditional
Tiggins
must start if Tiggins doesn't play. That's that was mine. My next guy is actually Tyler Higbee, because I'm just gonna all tight ends named Tyler. I'm going to recommend this week. He played in.
I love your strategy.
Last week, when I was talking about Tyler Conklin, 91.7% was the just offensive snaps, fourth most. Well, Tyler Higbee played in 94% of the Rams snaps. That's great. You know, it's even better. 11 targets. That's freaking awesome. Tight end targets can be hyperbolic. They really can be. And Tyler Higbee has been known for his boom bust mentality. So I'm not anointing Higbee king of the realm or anything. That's because that's probably Travis Kelce. But I think at a minimum, bare minimum, he deserves a stash, if not a spot start this week. As I mentioned earlier, the Rams are playing the Falcons this week, which suck from top to bottom. So Tyler Higbee is my guy. I think you should pick, if you have room to pick him up and stash him, I think you should, in case he goes off again. If not, give him a spot start.
I'm going to go a little deeper. You know, a guy to keep an eye on. Maybe you got a roster spot to spare. Maybe you've done some IR massaging. Maybe it's a dynasty thing. His name is Kylen Granson. He plays for the Indianapolis Colts. He had a 55% snap share to Mo Alley Cox's 54%. He literally played one more snap. But he ran more routes than Mo Alley Cox, 30 to Cox's 20. It didn't look great. He only caught 3 of his 7 targets for 22 yards, but they play the Jags this week. Hey.
Yeah.
Let's see if he does something
Kylen Granson was a 3rd or 4th round pick, I believe, by the Colts 2 years ago. So, I mean, they got some draft capital wrapped up in him. He's the more athletic guy compared to Mo Alley Cox. He was kind of a guy that I was kind of sticking in the back of my brain, hoping that no one would ever think about him ever. Dick.
I appreciate that, buddy. Cheers.
I think it's more of a dynasty thing. I don't think he's available in our dynasty league because I've tried.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure and mention that before I gave my spiel for sure.
I have a dynasty guy who might be even deeper than yours. Colby Parkinson of the Seattle Seahawks. I think he's a pretty decent dynasty pickup. He is seemingly in a 9-way timeshare with all the other Seattle tight ends. Dude, they used Will Dissly, Noah Fant, Colby Parkinson, and another guy who I can't remember off the top of my head, that I was just like, and they all looked pretty decent catching the ball. Even Will Dissly, I was like, what the? I mean, not Noah Fant. Noah Fant was more or less invisible, but he was out there. I was just like, I'm like, Colby Parkinson, like, this guy's looking pretty decent. I was like,
He's been on dynasty squads before, last year or so.
I thought he was a rookie.
Parkinson? No.
Yeah, I could be mistaken.
Second or third. I'll look at it in a second.
Anyways, but I was like, well, if they're gonna do this kind of shorter passing game because of Geno Smith, obviously they don't have a lot of wide receiver talent outside of DK and
Lockett.
Thank you. I've really spaced on his Tyler. He's a Tyler. How did I forget his name?
Oh my gosh, how could you?
Such an insensitive jerk. Anyways, yeah, I was like, I don't know, Colby Parkinson. Anyways, that's enough of tight ends. Let's move along to our quarterback.
That was my bad. That was it. Okay. I was like, I have one more just to annoy Josh. Why don't you start? Going to my QB, where are we?
I have 2 of them in case you take mine.
I only have one this week. A pretty obvious one. I have a backup plan. He's not listed, but if somebody wants to put him ahead of my guy, fine. I'm not going to put up an argument. Carson Wentz. He plays the Lions.
Low-hanging fruit.
Hey, it's a streaming segment. He should be available out there. Lions gave up the 4th most fantasy points to quarterbacks in the first week of the season. And they face a better thrower, in my opinion, in Carson Wentz this week. Carson Wentz was a quarterback 3 versus another bad defense, the Jaguars, last week. But he managed to top over 300 yards, throw 4 touchdowns, and complete 66% of his passes. he threw a couple picks, but hey, it's Carson Wentz, folks. You know what you're getting into when you do it. I expect Washington to be able to run versus the Lions and open up the play-action game, which I think definitely benefits Mr. Carson Wentz. And the offensive weapons will have more or less a field day. I don't think Detroit has a good defense. I think it's going to be, for lack of a better term, shootout with bad defenses. Yeah, something like that.
I had a feeling you were going to take Carson Wentz, so I pivoted to a different guy. I chose Derek Carr. In week 1 against the Chargers, he looked very Derek Carr-esque. It's almost like he's Derek Carr. He missed some throws to open wide receivers. His offensive line didn't play very well, and because of all that, he had to check down a fair amount. Very Carr-esque. But this week against the Cardinals defense, that looked no bueno, as they say, south of the border last week. So I like Derek Carr to have a better game this week. And Davante Adams, I got to say, was clearly his favorite target in that game. Hopefully they can get Darren Waller going a little bit more, and maybe more about his wide receiver in the next little bit we have. So Derek Carr, a decent streamer this week. If that's how if you punted on quarterback, Derek Carr.
I would throw in honorable mention Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Colts play. I've got schedule here.
The Jaguars.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same folks Carson Wentz played week 1. Like,
yep.
Yeah, go get that low-hanging fruit, folks. Don't be scared. On to our sleeper segment of the show. I've got this is a sleeper. Remind you, folks, this is not go pick up a guy up off waivers and start him this week. Jaylen Warren, I would say clear backup in Pittsburgh to Najee Harris. We've already seen Najee Harris come out week 1 and have some non-Najee usage. I'll put it that way. He did return to full practice today being Thursday, and he assured a reporter or something along those lines that it was not a re-aggravation of his Lisfranc injury, but it was the same foot. I feel like in this matchup, give me why I don't have it in my notes. They have a cupcake game, I think. Who they playing?
The Patriots.
I was hoping for no Mac Jones in this game. I know that's not a defender. I'm just saying I thought that would help their situation of having a very positive game script. It looks like Mac Jones is going to play, but I'm going to stick with my Jaylen Warren tout this week as my sleeper. I feel like they should rest Najee if they go ahead and get up early. I think the game is in Pittsburgh. If they get up early on New England, I think they're going to take every opportunity to rest Najee. That's why I like Jaylen Warren to maybe put up a couple of not eye-popping stats, but just a couple of carries and targets here that kind of turn a couple eyes, and maybe get on him early. Maybe at deeper leagues, maybe 12 teams plus.
I would, even deeper than that.
Hey, I'm working with what I got.
hey, no, a sleeper is a sleeper. My sleeper of the week is, in full disclosure, playing right now.
This is the one you got.
I was sitting there, I'm like, and that was supposed to be Joshua Palmer. So far from what I've seen in this game, hasn't done a ton. But that's okay. I pivoted at the last minute to something else, someone else. Derek Carr was my streamer of the week, so my sleeper of the week is Hunter Renfrow. He didn't have a lot of action last week, but if the Steelers' offensive line is going to continue to be not so good, it's going to still be check down Charlie from Derek Carr. And, I mean, that's what Hunter Renfrow is there for. I know it was Davante Adams' show last week with Darren Waller mixed in as well. And forgive me, I forgot who their back that caught a couple balls was, too.
What, Jacobs?
No, the other guy.
That would be too good to be true, huh?
No, Jacobs had a catch or two last week. I can't remember his name. It doesn't really matter that much.
Oh, Brandon Bolden. I think Brandon Bolden caught a touchdown. Yep.
Thank you, but I believe he's also injured too.
On a wheel route. Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm like, oh, look, an former Patriots running back catching the ball for Josh McDaniels' offense. Weird.
Yeah,
who didn't see that coming? All of us, because we're all blind apparently. Anyways. So my guy this week is Hunter Renfrow, my sleeper this week. Maybe not available to pick up, and the sleeper isn't necessarily a guy you need to play. but it's a call that I'm throwing out there that Hunter Renfrow could easily has a path to a good week. Chris, let's end the show, but continue the stream with our next segment. How about that? It's a little bit shorter show, which is okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait. We can talk about your. We're good on time, so let's talk about your dynasty squad. I'm gonna
torture me.
No. You wanted to talk about it, so I said let's talk about it at the end. If we have time, we have time. Let's talk about it. Chris has made some trades for just about every possible Dallas Cowboy player there is, except for Dak Prescott, and this is why not to rub it in your face, Chris, but I'm using this as an example of why I always tell people don't lean heavily upon one team. I don't care how good that team is or how good they're supposed to be, because one player goes down, like the quarterback in this situation, the entire offense is going to more or less fall apart. I'm sorry, I don't see Cooper Rush running out there and lighting the world on fire, especially with the way that Dallas Cowboys offensive line. To me, it didn't look the greatest. Let's put it that way. Chris, what did you think about it?
I would say the dearth. No, that's the opposite of what I'm trying to say. The ampleness of Dallas shares I have on my squad. Yes, it sure is partially due to homerism, but also due to situation. I stumbled into Schultz. I purposely traded Kittle to an Iowa fan because he had CD, and I expected a lot of catches, and so that one's sure to be blamed on.
Got done with it all, and realized that you had 5 Dallas Cowboys.
And the last thing I would say about that particular part of the situation is that I would love to deal these things ASAP. I was hoping to 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks down the line be like, hey, win losses wherever I'm at, start dealing some of these Dallas pieces to get out from under this shadow. To answer your question, I kind of touched on it a little bit. Maybe it was during the injury portion. I forget what it was, but I expect there still to be plenty of targets to go around. I think they do have a good to great defense, but I think they can only hold on so long. They're kind of a bend don't break type of defense, as was evidenced by Diggs giving up a ton of yards last year. So I think maybe Schultz is probably the one, because I think they can probably take CD, unfortunately, going back to my bad trade. CD probably isn't the one, like the number one wide receiver that can beat a double team. And if the run game isn't all that with the offensive line, so I think Schultz is going to be a great security blanket for whomever's in there. And then lastly, I would say that the left tackle, the rookie that played Tyler Smith, not Tyron, Tyler Smith, actually played pretty well. But then you lose your left guard, and it's just, man, it's a crap show right now. I think a couple of the
dominoes are falling out.
Yeah, I think a couple of my pieces of advice tonight prove that in terms of a couple Bengals players. Okay,
so say you're not the CD manager, and you're looking long-term play.
What? Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you are the CD manager. Would you take only a first-round pick for him right now? I'm offering you my first-round pick. Let's say it's the middle of the first.
At this point in the season, no, because it's only week 1. If I knew I was going to be 2 and 4, yeah, sure, absolutely, I'd take a late first, even, in a heartbeat. Will I get that in 6 weeks? Probably not. So I have to hold.
Would you take that third-round pick now for Zeke?
No.
Okay.
From you? No.
Okay.
I did want to say
anyone else in the league.
I'm glad you finished with Zeke. I did want to say one last thing. The only hope is they turn into they are arguably, I'm not going to jump on this bandwagon, but arguably a great defense. They've shown that. You even said yourself they were great against the run last year. Was that because folks had to abandon the run, or because they were great against the run? Whatever. Probably a little bit of both. They would have to be a great defense, commit to the run in such a manner that really they haven't shown in the past few years, and I guess have Zeke remain healthy and or have a guy behind him like maybe Pollard or a veteran they bring in that can withstand the load over a full season and just be that type of defensive run first type of team, and I have my doubts.
I don't think that they're built for that.
I'm just saying that's the only way. Well said. Well said. Well said. Exactly. They're not really built for that.
They weren't built for those. They weren't really built for the team that they are right now. So I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Anyways,
they weren't building for Cooper Rush to be the guy. Yeah,
exactly. Even with Dak, though, I mean, CD and that's it right now. Yikes. Anyways, we have been Amazing Fantasy Football. Chris, where can they find you on the Twitters?
They can find me at AFFB Chris,
and you can find me at Josh AFFB. What can we look forward to coming up? I believe the Sunday stream. We're continuing that again this year. Or last minute injury news, some lineup decisions. Ask your questions to us. Blah blah blah. You have any other questions? You can always hit up on Twitter, which we just went through. Until then, on Sunday, which is at 10 a.m. Central Time, correct?
It's at 10 a.m. Central Time, yes, sir. The kickoff show is.
Got it right this time. Anyways, till then, see y'all later.
Yeah.
And and that's just for the pod. Stay tuned for stream.
And we're back for the stream.
Cool. Our last little segment is, are you a true believer? Because Stanley used to say, hello, true believers. Anyways, did you get that when I proposed it to you?
No, sorry.
Poser comment.
I know, I'm horrible.
Anyways, my first guy is Carson Wentz. Chris, are you a true believer in what Wentz did?
Because I included him in my stream of the week, my quarterback segment. I looked at his schedule. He's got a couple other cushy matchups coming up here pretty soon, maybe including the Giants, and I don't remember who else.
His next 3 weeks are the Detroit Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, it was Lions and Cowboys. I think Eagles Eagles just gave up a ton of points week 1, but generally they're thought of as a good defense. I'll put it that way.
We'll see if that remains. But yeah,
exactly.
I hate to say this, but I mean,
Wentz
looked
next few weeks.
I said about Derek Carr, he looked very Derek Carr. Mm-hmm. Carson Wentz looked very Carson Wentz. There's just times where it's like, what's this guy doing? Another times, like,
yeah,
he looks good.
Sure
the picks were, one was kind of fluky. The rookie defensive end that they took first overall, like the announcers were saying, like, oh, he's got to watch out for that. I'm like, I don't know, man. That guy kind of just stretched out of nowhere, and like he was just like yoink, and just like stole the ball away. It was pretty good interception. I'm not really necessarily putting that on Wentz, but the other one was kind of. So yeah, okay. So let's move along to his teammate Antonio Gibson. 17 fantasy points in week 1. Believer or not?
I think it kind of comes back to the general question about Washington. And to go back to your reference about the quarterbacks, Mr. Wentz, whom he played for last year, Colts. Like, did you think Colts weapons last year are better than the Washington weapons seen week 1 this year? I would argue Washington.
No.
Yeah, I think I would argue Washington weapons are better. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that leads me to say, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying give up the farm to get Gibson in a trade or something, but I think you got a bargain if you took this guy in the what did he fall to, man? The 8th? I don't recall exactly.
I think after the the Brian Robinson news, and he climbed back up to like a 6th or something. But even then, I was like, man, I don't know. This seems like a smoke and mirrors here, and
I think we all
looks
kind of
like
thought
that after week 1.
Yeah, and then you rolled again. I put Jahan Dotson in my wide receiver fave 5 today. I believe for at least the next few weeks. At least I do.
Honestly, I think that's a flash in a pan, and I'm more about Curtis Samuel. But that's just me.
He had a good day too. A ton of targets.
Terry McLaurin was the only one that kind of didn't.
Yep, that's fair. Yeah, I think that'll change. But no, I think I'm buying into their offense.
Chris, would you like to have a rest of season Curtis Samuel versus Jahan Dotson?
No, I'd like to give it another week or two.
Oh my God, you pansy. Anyways,
one.
all right, next guy up. Allen Robinson, 1 reception versus the Bills. Are you a believer in that, or are you calling it one game aberration?
I don't believe in that. I think he might have been cooked before. I think his career might have been winding down a little quicker than we foresaw. Although I might have foreseen it. I might have foreseen it. Also, to tag on to that, I'm a little worried about Stafford's shoulder.
Elbow.
The elbow that connects to his shoulder, like I said. No, I'm a little concerned at this point. I mean, Kupp had a really great day from fantasy terms. They lost the game from real life terms, so you got to put that out there. Like, are they going to have to shelf him? I don't know. Maybe he goes out and proves everything wrong this week. But I think, whether it was Woods or Odell Beckham, I think there's a fantasy viable pass catcher to be had there as the second guy, or
Yep. And I still think it's Allen Robinson, because that dude was open on a lot of plays where Stafford was forcing the ball to Cooper Kupp or to Higbee, and Higbee dropped it, or it was just like, I'm like, dude, he's open right there, and Stafford just didn't even look at it, didn't even see that he was open. So I'm sticking with him, man. I'm maybe not playing him this week just because I'm a little nervous, but it's Atlanta too.
And
so
that wasn't your question.
If he doesn't get it done this week, I'm legit concerned, because it was the Bills last week, dude. And like I said, he was open on plays that they could have easily thrown the ball to him.
If he puts up another stinker, is he droppable?
No, but damn close.
We're both. I'm
damn
over it.
Close.
I'm over it. I was over him in the offseason. I just don't think he's what he was ever. I think. What was his name? Bortles. All
right.
Well, I think Blake Bortles made that man. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going that way.
Okay, let me roll my eyes so hard they fall out of my head. Okay, next guy up.
But
Devin Duvernay. Devin Duvernay for the wide receiver for the Ravens. He was 4 for 4, 54 yards, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, let's go ahead and throw at least one of those touchdowns out, and we'll call it just kind of. I mean, he was wide open on both. Don't get me wrong, but
I don't know. I'm not buying it. Andrews didn't do a lot. Andrews didn't catch a touchdown. Homeboy Bateman, people have been singing his praises all off season. I don't think he did much. I think that changes. I'm not saying they go away from Duvernay on purpose. I'm just saying I think coverage dictates differently in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you right there. Kind of some low-hanging fruit here, but Saquon Barkley, 29.4 points, 18 carries for 164 yards, 7 targets, caught 6 of them, only for 30 yards. But who cares, dude?
Who cares? PPR, baby. Let's go. Yeah,
man, I'm
super excited.
I love that. I was all over Saquon this offseason, and it's where I have him on a couple of leagues actually, and I got him in one in the second round. I think the other one I took in the first.
Yeah, I think the overall offense can still bring him down to, although I'm a little excited about Daniel Jones and company also. But I don't think he can necessarily keep up that efficiency on the ground every week. But seeing him, what he did through the air, it looks like old Saquon, like I'm really excited from a fantasy fan perspective. Like, yeah, we could use him, So yeah. I believe.
2 guys left. Joe Burrow, shaky first half, kind of dust off some rust to come back and tie the game. Ultimately ended up losing the game because their kicker dinged one off the upright. It looked better in the fourth quarter and everything. Ended up with 22.2 fantasy points. Are you buying Joe Burrow just going up against a tough defense and, just a kind of, because I believe the Bengals didn't start playing their starters in the preseason either. So are you buying more in first half Joe Burrow or second half Joe Burrow?
Second half. Okay. Yeah. And I think they're going to be upset. They're going to be going up against a bad Dallas team, and they're going to show.
What if everybody. They lose? What if they still win against Dallas, but they look bad doing it? Worried?
I guess I'd be a little concerned. But then again, there's so many excuses, if you want to call them that I could throw out. Like if Higgins doesn't play. I could throw that out there. Maybe my
Okay.
Hurst tight end tout goes south.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but then maybe, yeah. But no, I think they can bounce back fine. And yeah, I think the combination of a lot of things: good defense, rust. I don't know which quarter Tiggins left in.
I didn't watch.
It was a significant enough amount of the game. I don't know if it was half of it or less, but anyway.
Yeah.
Anyways,
last guy, James Robinson. Chris, I was lied to. Where we just wrong all the time, and James Robinson didn't actually tear his Achilles.
They're like, haha, a little bit of subterfuge, a little bit of, yeah. No,
I watched some condensed games this past week. Not all of them, because who has time for that? But here and there, and the condensed games are a lot harder to watch because it's literally they snap the ball, play goes, next play, snapping the ball. There's rarely any replays, so it's kind of hard to watch, but it's
for sure.
It's a good way to kind of get a sense of at least how
it's better than nothing. I've been using it in the same manner.
Yeah.
You can't watch all the games all the time.
I gotta say, James Robinson, he looked
good.
Okay.
I'll
he got some good offensive line push and everything. So he had some good running lanes, but I mean, if you look at Cam Akers in week 1 compared to James Robinson in week 1, Cam Akers and even Cam Akers at the end of last season and in week 1 and his 3 touches in week 1, Cam Akers that is, compared to James Robinson, night and day, dude. Like one you would have never guessed tore his Achilles, the other one you'd been like, yeah, that dude tore his Achilles.
Right. To answer your question, I'd like to see it a couple more weeks from Robinson, but moreover, I'm looking at it from a fantasy pieces perspective of doesn't look good for Etienne, meaning reminding folks that Doug Peterson with a D, Peterson, he didn't draft Etienne. He was handed him.
Etienne got work and he looks fine doing it too. So let's not count Etienne out.
Like I said, I'd like to see it a couple more weeks from Robinson before I start burying Etienne or something crazy like that. But also because I'd like to see a healthy Robinson to prove to me that he's not Cam Akers. But it's looking that way. It's looking that way.
It could have just been.
So I guess
he gave it all in week 1, and he could have been okay in week 1, and then in week 2 he's just like,
right.
Dude, I got nothing left in this leg,
Could be. Hey, we're not doctors. That could be the way it works with that sort of thing. I'm not sure. So to answer your question, I guess I'm not believing in James Robinson just yet, but it sure is trending that way.
Man, yeah, he's looks like he's going to be that one guy that breaks through potentially and overcomes that Achilles injury. It's 1 week, so it's hard to say, but man, he looked all right. He looked okay. Anyways, it looks my dog is staring at me and like she wants to go out. So let's cut this thing.
Cut it.
Okay. Once again, Josh AFFB on Twitter. It's been on the bottom part of the screen. Chris, you're at whatever.
At AFFB, Chris.
Exactly. And catch us all on Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern time, and next week again at 8 p.m. Central Time every Thursday.
8 p.m.
Every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Time. Every Sunday, 10 a.m. Central Time. Sunday, injury news, ask some questions, general advice. And we kind of went off the rails last week too, and that's what Sundays are for.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right, man. Peace out, everyone. Oh, wait. Like, share, subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe. Links are in the description.
Check out the podcast.
Join the Discord server. We have a podcast. Click on that link.
If you ever want to, can't make the show, check out the podcast, and vice versa. Whoop whoop. Adios. Good luck, everyone.
Adios. Bye. Good luck. Have an amazing fantasy weekend.